One of the problems that I have when replying to people, because I've made actually quite a few response videos to people and I have never posted them, because what I find I do is I will sit there and I will take notes, and then I will actually start the recording process and I will kind of forget what I was going to talk about, or at least forget the points that I had in my head. So hopefully this isn't horribly disjointed, and hopefully this actually makes a little bit of sense and addresses some of the questions and some of the comments that A Decadent Song did put in her video. She brings up the romantic sexual relationships, which, again, romantic and sexual added to the beginning of relationships is a definition of how we feel towards another person. Animal magnetism, sexual attraction. There have been a couple of girls that I have known that when she and I met, there was a very primal, well, that was a very primal sexual urge. And both she and I had talked about it with a couple of different girls, where it just felt like, you know, that was our whole purpose. You know, we were together because there was just a complete sexually charged magnetism that was unexplainable. And not that that's all that there was, but that was the initial reply, or that was the initial response. And hang on a second. Oh, he made it. I'm sitting on a bin and Scotch decided he wanted to get up here, which will last probably about 30 seconds, and then he'll jump down. Hopefully not taking the camera with him. Yes, I love you too. The sexual relationships and being in an intimate relationship with someone, dealing with that lack of alone time, again, that will go back to saying, okay, well, how much time do you need? How much time do you need to yourself? I had a relationship, which will end up being probably part 4 of my Roaring 20s. And another side note, since I really do actually have all the time in the world, because I can just keep uploading, I'm going to try not to focus too much on just the relationships that were going on in my life during my history, because I realized as I was watching my Roaring 20s part 3.0 that it was all about a relationship. And that was all it was just a relationship. And, well, I guess it was also my story, but I don't know. I didn't like it. And a couple of the responses that I got, a couple of comments I got, just kind of made me think, was this really useful? Or could I have just said, you know, that girl that I talked about, that I moved to Oklahoma with, she and I ended up getting engaged, and then, you know, we got disengaged, and that was it. So, I don't know. Maybe the depth added something to the story, but I'm not specifically sure. So tolerating the lack of alone time. Choosing to be with someone all the time. It is hard. It depends on the people. That was the point that I was getting to, is that the next relationship that I went into, she and I were extremely, and I mean extremely, solitary animals. We never really should have gotten together, to be honest, and the amount of alone time that we spent with each other the amount of alone time that we needed versus the amount of time that we spent together. Scotch, jump down, Bubby. Get down. You can't. Come on, down. Sorry, all he was doing was trying to figure out how to lay down and not slide away, and it wasn't working. So, the alone time that we needed for our own lives was insane. I would say that she and I probably should have spent, you know, to go back to the example from part 1, we probably should have spent Wednesday nights together and spent all of the rest of our time apart so that we could still enjoy each other's company. And we also tried a couple of different things. We tried to set some of those rules ahead of time. You know, we didn't want to fall into the usual boyfriend-girlfriend sort of mode. And so one of the things that we decided to be was completely honest with each other. You know, if I was sitting in the living room and she came in and turned on the TV, we wanted to be honest enough with each other that I could say, I don't really want to hear the TV right now because I'm reading. I'm going to go back into the other room, and she wouldn't take offense to it. Unfortunately, that's really hard to maintain. It's next to impossible to maintain, I believe. Maybe not. Maybe we were a little too broken, and both of us were extremely broken around that time. But yeah, I kind of believe that sort of honesty, that sort of desire to be alone is not healthy. Which actually brings up that point. How much alone time is too much alone time? Being social animals that we are, we didn't used to be able to have the alone time that we have. And, I mean, I can go to a gas station and buy my gas without talking to anybody. I can go to the ATM without talking to anybody. I can go to the grocery store and not talk to anybody and go through the self-checkout lane and not talk to anybody. Although you always still have to ask them for cigarettes. So until I quit smoking, I'll still have to keep on talking to someone at some point. But, you know, you could spend your entire day without talking to somebody and still be a perfectly functional human being. You could get a job where you sit there and you know, edit text or, you know, write technical manuals or something along those lines, which could show up via email. You do the job, you send it back in via email. You could go through your entire existence not ever talking to anyone and spending all of your time alone. That didn't used to happen. Technology has given us the ability to have all of this alone time. And before that, we actually spent a lot more time with our friends and with our family and with our communities. It's one of the reasons why I actually am very grateful for the YouTube community and all of the people that I've met through here, is because it's given me something to do and someone to talk to and other lives to pay attention to other than my own. The alone time that I have now is an alone time interacting with other people, and that is much more healthy than just, you know, staying unplugged from the internet and spending every single day that I have, you know, writing in a journal or just reading books. I mean, I'll learn something if I read books. I'll learn how to write better if I write. But the interaction with people is what makes us human, because we are social animals. We should be interacting with other people. And if you don't use the technology that we've been, well, I don't want to say that we've been given, but if you don't use the technology that we have in order to communicate better with other people, then you're not using, well, I don't want to say you're not human, because you are still human, but you're not, I don't think that it's healthy. That's it. When it comes down to it, I don't think it's healthy. Having spent those days, months, weeks, and years living that solitary life and spending all of my time alone and only interacting with people when I absolutely had to, it's not a healthy thing. You do end up talking to yourself. I was in the shower the other day talking to the bar of soap, and I was joking around, and I don't actually think that that says that I'm unhinged, but when there's the possibility that the only time I'm going to talk is when I'm talking to a bar of soap in the shower, or talking to my dog later on, which does happen all the time, then yeah, that's not healthy. Sorry to those of you that talk to bars of soap and talk to your dogs and no one else and nothing else, but that's unhealthy. Which is why we enter relationships with people. So the question was brought up, how do I relate with other people and have healthy relationships? I have found that my healthy relationships are the ones where I am honest, but still maintain, for lack of a better word, secrets. You know, nobody knows what I think about when I go to bed except for me. And so that outward oversharing that happens so often, it takes away some of the mystique of the person, I think, as well. You know, if I was in a relationship and 2 years had gone by, and my girlfriend had told me everything there was to know about her, and she had no secrets left, and there was nothing else other than maybe a new thought that might have popped up, then it sounds superficial, but I'd be a little bit bored with that. I want there to be a continual exploration of the person that I choose to spend my time with, especially someone that I choose to spend a bed with. Share a bed with. That intimacy of sex, that intimacy of exploring each other's bodies, and learning not only their bodies but their minds and their thoughts, I think are one of the keys to having a healthy relationship. And while I'm not suggesting, and I don't condone lying or even lies of omission, wearing everything on your sleeve and letting your partner know absolutely everything there is that goes through your head, I don't think that's actually helpful. I think that's actually a hindrance, because if you know everything, then what more is there? I also have a really bad habit of getting bored. I get bored with friends, I get bored with video games, I get bored with, books. I don't know how many books I've started in the past couple of years that I've gotten in, 20, 30, 150 pages in and then said, man, I'm bored, and put it away. So how do you have a healthy relationship? Not exactly sure. But I think that being honest, but not brutally honest, and maintaining some of the mystique that we have when we meet each other is key. Because there is an interest. Also, not changing who you are to be someone else is necessary, because never forget that when you enter into a relationship, it's the things that you see about that person that you desire, that you are attracted to. You see them, you're attracted to them, and if they change those things, whether for you or for the relationship or for anything else, then, and I'm not talking about growth, I'm talking about, again, superficial. Me suddenly listening to, rap and hip hop in order to get a girl to like me. That's a really bad idea. If for no other reason, because most of the time my ears bleed when I hear rap and hip hop. I don't care for that genre of music other than select bits, and even then I can only take it very small doses. A couple of songs at a time, then I got to switch to something else. So, I don't know. Having these healthy relationships on YouTube, having all of these people that I talk to on a regular basis, one of the great things about relationships on the internet is that I can maintain some of my anonymity. There are a handful or two handfuls of people out there that know my first name, but that's it. And the ability to bare my soul through my videos helps me have healthy relationships with the people here on YouTube, because I don't fear their judgment in the real world. I'm getting better at not fearing the judgment of others in the real world, but as it stands, no one in the real world knows about these videos. Even my friend back in Seattle does not know that I've been making these videos. I've been thinking about letting him know, but it's not necessary right now. We talk about things enough as it is. And again, it goes back to the mystique thing. It's like, why are we such good friends? Because we have good interests, and because every once in a while we say something that just knocks the other one's socks off and we laugh our asses off. So then we have no asses and we have no socks, which is an interesting conundrum. Just remember, if that ever happens to you, they are not interchangeable. You cannot put socks back where your ass was, and if you're walking on your ass, well, yeah. Well, that's the end of part 2. I'm cracking myself up here. I'm going to see if I can aim the camera in another direction for part 3.